back foot, fadeaway throw, just like running around, just off balance, throwing it, footwork sloppy, trying to make up for it with the throw, and he's not able to do the same things that Aaron Rodgers does. So I think Love just needs to focus on developing his own style, developing his own way of playing the quarterback position, and not getting caught up so much in trying to emulate Aaron Rodgers, because nobody can do that. It's just impossible to do. There was a back foot fadeaway right there.
I don't really think that he's trying to emulate Aaron Rodgers. What I think he's trying to do, he's getting reps, so he's trying to get a feel for it. He's trying to figure out the offense. He's trying to figure out the adjustments. He's trying to figure out what personnel they have, what rotation. If it's an 8-man box, are they keeping 2 guys back deep? He's trying to figure out all that pre-snap, and then all of a sudden he gets the snap, then safeties come and guys drop out. So I think he's a little confused, Jack. And that's why you see such terrible footwork. Now, if Aaron Rodgers is gone, eventually they're going to take their time and they're going to help develop him and really work on his feet. As a quarterback, yeah, everybody focuses on this, but it's always about your feet. And if your feet are together, and are you under control? And that's what Tom Brady used to always tell me. Hey, it's all about your feet.
I'm just thinking about the likelihood, and they do set up these plans, right? They set up a plan for when Brett Favre was towards the end of his career. They drafted Aaron Rodgers. They brought him in early. They gave him time to sit, to learn, and then he was ready when his time came. It was about 4 years down the line. So they're doing the same thing with Love here, but it may just happen faster. Like Aaron Rodgers, do I think he plays for the Packers next year? I think it's unlikely. At best, it's unlikely that he plays for the Packers next year. So Love is going to be this guy. And I just thought, after having a year and a half of sitting behind Rodgers, of being in this offense, of being in this building, of learning, of going through the preseasons, that this would have looked prettier the first time out. And it looked pretty ugly the first time out. But I'm just thinking, Rod, that is a hard thing to do, to try to go from Favre to Rodgers to now Love. I think the likelihood that they go 3 for 3 here is about 1 in a billion. I'll be shocked if it works.
Well, I don't know about that. Aaron, the problem here is they haven't come out and said that we're committed to Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you're committed to Aaron Rodgers, you need to agree to a 2-year extension, a 3-year extension, or whatever it might be. But I'm like you. I believe that they're going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I don't care how well he plays. Even if he wins a Super Bowl, maybe if he wins a Super Bowl, they might think about keeping him. But for the most part, but I do want to shift to something a little more positive. What about that defense? Devondre Campbell. Nobody's talking about Devondre Campbell in addition of Devondre Campbell. He's playing like one of the top middle linebackers in all of football. He was with the Atlanta Falcons. I got a chance to see him here. He was with the Arizona Cardinals for a short period of time. But he's come in and he's really made a difference on their team, as well as Rashawn Gary. He's leading them in sacks.
Well, while we're on the topic of defensive football, let's spin it to the Tennessee Titans. We were here in L.A. Titans, Rams. Rams had looked so good all year. Harold Landry, top 3 in the entire league in pressure. So we had been seeing him start to come to the top of this NFL in terms of pass rushers. Talked to him right after that game about the identity, about what they're building there with Coach Brady. I thought he had a really interesting answer. Let's play that back. Here was Harold Landry right after a big win.
And guess what? I think he's going to be a free agent. That brother going to get paid. Look at him smiling. Hey, dog, we over here in your pockets, man. What's going on?
Harold, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great. How about yourself?
We're doing okay. How'd that one feel for you guys?
Oh, it felt awesome. Like KB said it best, man. We ain't out to prove anybody wrong. We're out to prove ourselves right. We know how good we are in that locker room, man. We came out here, played our brand of football, and we knew this was what could happen.
Harold, what was the game plan going in? Because it seemed like you guys kept 2 safeties deep. You didn't want to give up the big play and allow your front guys to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, no, we knew coming into this game that, for our defense to have success, our front was going to have to impact the game at a high level. And, when we came in and we were able to do that.
Give us a sense for Coach Vrabel. Coach Vrabel and the attitude he instills in this team. Like, give us a sense how he actually gives you guys that attitude.
No, he just said it, man. Like, no matter who we play, no matter what time, where it's at, man, he gives us a game plan, we go out there and execute it. And, that's the mantra that we have, man. It don't matter what the situation is. We're going to prepare our ass off and come out here and play our brand of football, and that's what it's about.
Well, Rod, we really didn't know who would pick up, right? Derrick Henry's out for an extended period of time. We didn't know who would step in there and shoulder some of this added responsibility. It'd be Tannehill, Adrian Peterson. It really wound up being this defense. How great were they? And it was awesome spending time with Landry after the game, too.
Yeah, it was amazing. When I watched them and you and I, we both picked the Rams. But I told you on the field, I said, man, it's something about Tennessee, just the way they were warming up, the level of focus that they had, and just how big the players were. I mean, I went up to Adrian Peterson. He was like 20 pounds bigger than me. I'm like, man, you look good. But for the most part, man, it's just about that defensive front. You asked me, what's the biggest difference? It's been Jeffrey Simmons. It's been Harold Landry III. It's been Danico Autry. Jeffrey Simmons came in, and he's probably the best player that you've never really he never really gets any respect. I mean, he's a player that can get after the quarterback. He stops the run, and he completely dominated on Sunday night, and he really set the tone.
9 pressures he had, 5 hits, 3 sacks. It was just a mega game for him. And he's somebody who fell in the first round because of an off-the-field situation. But now he's playing like a top 5 pick on that defensive front. And that's a scary thought with this Titans team. And you made the point about how big of body guys they have. I think it's intentional. Just look at their receivers. Look at Julio. Look at A.J. Brown. Derrick Henry when he's back there. Their offensive line. I think they want size. They want physicality in the way that they build this roster, and they play that way. They play with the attitude of their coach and Coach Vrabel, and we have size and that kind of an attitude. It's a scary combination to try to go up against, and you're seeing this team now come to life. I mean, they beat Kansas City handedly, the Bills handedly. Now they come out to L.A., they beat the Rams handedly. They're 6-0 against teams who were in the playoffs last year, so I just think you have to start giving respect to a team that's out there in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee or whatever, but they are beating everybody. The Titans are right back at the top of the AFC where they've been the last few years.
And you know what, bro? Just what you said. They beat all those teams, and that's why I think Coach Vrabel should definitely be mentioned in the Coach of the Year conversation. I mean, just what he's been able to do. I mean, you think about him losing his best player in Derrick Henry, going out west and being able to blow out a team that everybody thought or everybody think was going to the Super Bowl, that was going to play the Super Bowl at home. So to me, I just look at Vrabel, and you could tell with Harold Landry, he says, whatever coach tell us to do, we're going to do. They trust Mike Vrabel. They trust him, and Vrabel works extremely hard. He's smart. He's kind of forming a defense like we had, really big up front, really big guys up front, guys that are very versatile at the linebacker position and the secondary that does a great job of communicating, and safeties that can make plays on the ball, and that's exactly what they've got. Kevin Byard, man, I can't speak highly enough about Kevin Byard and what he's doing as far as watching him cover guys, wide receivers, tight ends, coming up. I mean, this was an all-pro play. And you tell me, and he hasn't been mentioned in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, this guy's flat out balling. Look at him, just reading the quarterback. And this is just what he does. Since he's been in the league, he's been the top playmaking safety in the National Football League. And you know what, Vrabel? You can't get any better than Kevin Byard. He's really stepped up his game.
I'm right there with you. He's been the best safety in the league. You just made that point, and by far, in my opinion, he's been the best safety in the league. That's film study. I mean, you think about him reading that out route, knowing right when they go to it. That's just an easy, comfortable completion for Stafford. Not so much when Byard knows what's coming. But you think about the pick six, then also the other interception that ended up putting the ball right at the 1-yard line for the easy payoff touchdown. The defense was creating scoring opportunities in this game, and they were able to pay them off. So get to your third takeaway. Keep it on the defensive side of the ball in New England. Something starting to form there, and J.C. Jackson has been the headliner.
Yeah, man. You know, just think about this. Your number one corner, Stephon Gilmore, a guy that was the Defensive Player of the Year a couple years ago, he gets hurt. And Belichick ends up trading him. J.C. Jackson steps up. He becomes the number one cornerback. He had 9 interceptions last year, and everybody thought, okay, maybe this is just a one-year phenom, and, you know, will he be able to come back and show a level of consistency? He came back this year, had 2 picks on Sunday, had 5 total, and he's been outstanding. And if I were the Patriots, I would have went to J.C. Jackson this offseason and said, J.C., I'm going to offer you 4-year, $40 million with $20 million to sign. And now he probably would have said, well, maybe with that type of security that he had. But now it's going to cost somebody $15 to $17 million a year to sign this guy. He is a number one corner. He's played extremely well. He's not afraid to come up and tackle. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't think the Patriots will invest this type of money to try to keep this young man.
I don't think they will either. It's not exactly their strategy, not the way that Coach Belichick likes to do business, is overpaying for players like that. when they do pay somebody like Judon, you expect some really serious results. But look at New England now. They've won 4 out of their last 5. I've always had this theory, Rod, and I want to question you on this a little bit too. So through September, through October, that Belichick just gets experimental. He'll try new defenses. He'll implement a whole bunch of different schemes and disguises, try different personnel, different players at different spots. And by the time we get to November and December, it starts to feel like they know who they are. They have an identity. They start playing their best football. And then they put together one of these great Patriot runs. So inside the building, how does that actually work as he sort of just starts turning all the gears and getting everything right through about September and October, and finally you see their best football right about now?
It just comes down to coaches coach, and the players play. And he says, hey, our job is to get you guys prepared. Your job is to come in here and learn as much as you can mentally, prepare yourself physically, and be on that football field so you can practice and pay attention in those meetings. So none of this is surprising to me. It's always been a process. It's nothing that you could just get in one day. It takes over the course of an entire season to build trust, to build faith, to understand that, hey, if I tell one of my guys I'm going to be there, he can look at me and know 100% that I'm going to be there for him. So it's chemistry, it's continuity, it's trust, it's faith in one another, it's all those things. But the Patriots defense is getting a lot better. There's a lot more stout up front, and they're playing a lot better in the back end.
And with how long this season is, and with having a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, you got to think that they're just going to continue as we hit December, as we hit January. This is going to be a team that is just going to keep on getting better. Let's get to Arizona, the Cardinals, playing without their best. This is your 4th takeaway, Rod. So they had no Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, Watt is out for a long period of time, the rest of the season. So how are they able to go keep winning and beating San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean, I got to give credit to General Manager Steve Keim, for building a deep, talented roster with a quarterback that's on his rookie deal. So now you can go out and you can get guys. Like, think about, they went out and got Marcus Golden, who was there before. Now he's he's their leading sacker, and he had 3 sacks on Sunday. He's been playing outstanding. You look at Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator, the type of job that he's doing with Isaiah Simmons and some of those other players that are playing. I just think that this team, they believe in one another. The fact that they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, they didn't have Kyler Murray, they didn't have some of their main weapons, but they still believe that they can win. I think this is great for them, because now they're showing that they can win in different ways. And it's going to be tough, man, to beat these guys. Byron Murphy Jr., he's playing cornerback. He's playing like an all-pro. They got some ballers on the defensive side of the ball, and they don't even have some of their starters on the offensive side of the ball. It's crazy, man.
A whole bunch of their starters they're playing without. And you think about Colt McCoy, who steps into this offense, and he's a completely different style of quarterback. He's not somebody who's a running quarterback. Like, this isn't Mike Vick back there in Colt McCoy. Been in the league 10-plus years. And I thought this was maybe the best game we've ever seen Colt McCoy play ever. I can't remember a game where I've seen Colt McCoy play like this. And he did it with James Conner, who comes in, Randall Moore, who comes in, Christian Kirk, he made look like a #1 receiver. And then Zach Ertz made some nice plays too. So it's the second string guys. Like, it makes me think back, Rod, to Amari Cooper. Remember Amari Cooper, the point he made to us about Dallas was depth has never been more important. With the eternity of a season we're going into, with the marathon effect that this is, you've got to have depth, and Arizona proved that they do.
No doubt. And I look at running back James Conner. He looks like he's rejuvenated his career. He looks like a totally different back behind this offensive line. He's got 10 touchdowns, and he's playing. He's healthy. And you can see the toughness, you can see the size, you can see the speed, all the things that we couldn't necessarily see in Pittsburgh because they didn't have a great offensive line. You're really starting to see it. And you talk about Christian Kirk, a guy that's in the slot. He could do it all as well. And now he's showing you that he can pass. He can throw the football. So Arizona, man, I tell you, man, this is a highly talented team. You got to give a lot of credit to Cliff Kingsbury and what he's been able to do, because most people thought that last year that, like, what the heck is this guy's doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. Come to find out, he knows exactly what he's doing. He loves his talent, and he's got plenty of it, Jack.
And when they get everybody back, look out. When they get all those players back, DeAndre Hopkins, like, I would take your time. Let Hopkins' hamstring come back. Make sure you get Murray's full athleticism back. You have time now. Like when you can get these sort of off weeks, if you will, these off weeks with all your best players, it's almost like they're built in with this 18-game schedule. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have a little bit of this where
you use it as a bye.
Have to play. That's right. That's exactly right. If you can use it as a bye, though, and still win, what a boost that is to be able to get your guys healthy and get a win. Let's get to your fifth takeaway, Rod, which is Andy Reid. Go ahead.
Let me just say this.
Ahead. Yep.
With these injuries, you also give those younger guys an opportunity to get that playing experience. And not only do they get playing experience, they get playing experience with the first team. That's what you want, because who knows, like we talked about, it's a 17-week season. As some of the older players might be achy, you need some of those young guys that say, you know what, I played early in the season, so I can come right in. I got my confidence. I've got this experience. I played with this guy before. We know that we trust each other, communicate. All those things play a factor too.
That's right. And it's inevitable that at least a handful of those guys are going to have to come back at some point in the season and play one of those starting roles. Let's get to Andy Reid. Still doesn't quite look like Andy Reid. Like, we're so used to seeing this like globetrotter type offense where just these amazing things are happening and you're blown away. It's still not there, Rod. Why? What are you seeing from Andy Reid even in a win?
Well, Andy Reid has to be better. He has to coach better. And when I say that, he has to recognize that his quarterback, he's not playing with a lot of confidence. And as a professional football player, we all struggle with confidence. I don't care. I'm Tom Brady. He struggles with confidence no matter what we accomplish, no matter what we've done in our career. At times we struggle with confidence. If you're Andy Reid and you see that, then run the football. If everybody's keeping two safeties deep, run the football, Andy Reid. You've done it before. I've seen you in Philly. I've seen you with Kansas City. Run the football. But the problem is this, a lot of times, those offensive coordinators, they want to put up numbers. They want numbers. They want 4,000, 5,000 passing yards. They want 30-plus touchdowns. They want 6 interceptions or 8 interceptions and less. They want to put up numbers. If they can't put up numbers, then they feel like they're not being productive. But last time I checked, Jack, I thought the name of the game was to win a football game. So if I'm Andy Reid, I'm taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands a little bit more. I'm running the football, and eventually I'm going to force them to use one of those safeties, which is going to open up the deep part of the field.
Yeah, there you go. And that would be the plan. I think they want Clyde Edwards-Helaire back to help that cause of going more so in on that running game. And they're just not pushing the ball down the field. You look at Patrick Mahomes, his yards per attempt, it's come way, way down as I look at it right now. 4.5 is what he's at. So it just keeps coming down further as this new playbook is out in terms of how to defend them. And if you look at this game, you go back and watch this game, twice Kansas City went for it on 4th and 1 in their own territory, like at their own 35, 40-yard line at the beginning of this game. One time they got it. One time they gave him the ball right back. So they're still trying to play overly aggressive. It's just not working in the same way that it did. And I'll tell you the other area you notice is that you get down around the red area, Andy Reid's creativity, where this game gets so complicated, his creativity just used to be able to create 7. And he would have guys running wide open with all these crossing routes and stuff. And you just don't see that anymore. They get down around the red area, and they are getting stuffed, and Mahomes doesn't know what to do when he's getting hit and nobody's open. So that's really where they're frustrating him, is the red area and the inability to go deep.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what he talked about. He says, well, I struggle with them keeping 2 safeties back. I have to learn to be patient and check the ball down. So this is very frustrating to Patrick Mahomes because he's a guy, he's used to running around, throwing no-look passes, throwing the ball down the field, and guys running underneath it. But he's not able to do that anymore, and that's where the frustration lies. So now we have to see, can he make the necessary adjustment to become a better quarterback, not for yourself, but for your team, and start being a lot more patient.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.